All right, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Barbara Moreno and I'm with goDCgo School Services. And today, with the help of my fellow colleagues, Yvonne and Joanne, we're going to talk a little bit more in detail about the Kids Ride Free program. For those that are new to my presentations, I always love starting them with an icebreaker just to get to know my audience a little bit better. So I'm going to go ahead and release a poll. And if you guys could just take about 30 to 45 seconds or so to answer them, that would be great. I'd love to get to know my audience. So the two poll questions are, when is the last time you rode public transit? Right, Kids Ride Free being a program that allows students to ride public transit for free. Just kind of curious how the staff at the schools has been interacting with public transit in the last year. And then second question is, of course, again, related, right? Kids need Kids Ride Free to commute. So are students currently commuting to one or more of your school's locations? I know some of you have multiple locations, some of them might be open, some of them might not be open. So just curious about that. So we'll go ahead and give it another 15 seconds or so, maybe 10. And then I'll go ahead and show the results. Okay. Great, I think we've hit a quorum. Let me go ahead and end this poll and share the results. All right, so it looks like it's been a while for a lot of us when it comes to public transit. No worries, that is probably, you're in the same boat with a lot of other people that haven't ridden public transit since before the pandemic. And then it looks like it's about 50-50, roughly maybe 60-40 for schools that have students currently commuting. So that's really exciting to know. So great, I'm excited that this information will be applicable now and in the future. So that's great. Let me go ahead and stop sharing these results. Close out this poll on my end. And I already saw some questions coming through in the chat box, but I do want to alert you that we will have a question section at the end of the presentation. So please feel free to start using the chat box now as we start showing the slides. If you have a question, just go ahead, pop it into the chat box. Just know that we probably won't get to it while we're doing the presentation. We will answer it though at the end of the presentation. So please feel free to use the chat box. Any comments, questions that you have, please, we do want to make sure we make this as useful for you as possible. And with that, let's go ahead and get started. So here's our agenda for today. So first up, I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit about goDCgo and how we support students, especially during this pandemic. And then I'm going to kick it over to Yvonne and Joanne on the Kids Ride Free team, and they're going to go ahead and give a program overview and an FAQ and hopefully answer a good chunk of your questions. But of course, if you have more, the chat box is here for you. So first up, a little bit about goDCgo and school services. So for those that don't know, goDCgo is an initiative of the District Department of Transportation. We are a leading resource for transportation information and options. For those that haven't been to the goDCgo.com website, I highly recommend it. We have a plethora of information on all modes. So if you're looking to try out biking, scooters, public transit, carpooling, we have all the information that you need there. And the reason we have this information there is because we're really trying to encourage the use of sustainable transportation. And a big reason we want to do that is because we have a huge goal, as you can see right there in the bottom bullet point, that we are trying to decrease traffic congestion, improve air quality, and create a better quality of life in the DC area. We're going to be able to do that by encouraging the use of sustainable transportation everywhere, and that includes schools. And that's why we offer complimentary transit resources and consulting to DC organizations and regular commuters as well. So school services is an offshoot of goDCgo. We're very much targeted to schools, right? So those organizations, I'm the one specifically assigned to help schools and all types of schools. We are here to provide no-cost consultations to DC public, private, and charter schools. So wherever you are, whatever kind of school you are, as long as you're in DC, you can get assistance from me to either, one, implement an enhanced commuter benefit program for your staff, because they're commuting to and from school, right? As well, and of course, the reason you're here today, which is to encourage students and families to use sustainable transportation. And Kids Ride Free does a wonderful job of helping students and families discover the wonderful joys of public transit. So a little bit about me. This is my information, my contact information. Feel free to take a screenshot, but of course you'll also get the slides later. My name is Barbara Moreno. I've worked in the education space for about 4 years prior to joining goDCgo. I have a huge passion for public transportation, and so when it came the opportunity to join goDCgo, it was truly a great opportunity for me, and I loved working with the schools and staff, and I see some familiar names in the waiting room and in the meeting room, and I can't wait to meet all the ones that I don't know yet. I have been using public transit since I was 4 years old. I grew up in Chicago. You can see my beautiful map of Chicago right behind me. And it's been a huge, crucial part of my life, public transportation. I had a very long commute to and from my high school. I had about an hour-and-a-half commute on Chicago public transit. I did bus to train. I did that every day for about 4 years. So I totally understand what students are currently undergoing as they commute all across DC, and why Kids Ride Free is just such an important program for students to have. Let's talk a little bit about how students traveled to school in the before times. Back in 2019, how did students travel? So in fall 2019, the District Department of Transportation, in partnership with DCPS and the Deputy Mayor of Education's office, did a survey of students, staff, and families to discover their transportation patterns, right? What are they using to get to and from school? And so I'm going to share some of the results, specifically highlighting how students get to and from school from that survey. So first up, middle and high school students mode split. So this one's really important because, as you see, the overwhelming majority use Metrobus and Metrorail to get to and from school. So that makes, again, programs like Kids Ride Free, programs like goDCgo really important, because there are a lot of students relying on sustainable modes of transportation to get to and from school. So as you see, about 58% of students use Metrobus at some point in their trip to get to school. 41% use Metrorail at some point. 31% have their parents drive, but another 29% are walking to and from school, right? That's a huge amount. And a surprising amount are using ride-hail by themselves as well, which is also another way to get to and from school, which I thought was really interesting. But as you see, for middle and high school students, public transit and walking are really huge modes. And again, right, proving the purpose of the Kids Ride Free program. Let's talk about elementary students a little bit. So different, a little bit different breakdown compared to middle and high school students, but still very focused on sustainable transportation and sustainable modes. So as you see, walking is a pretty big winner, right? About 35% of elementary students walk to school. And so, clarification, for this survey data, for the middle and high school students, we actually directly surveyed middle and high school students. For elementary students, we asked parents and family members to report back on how they travel to school with their youngest. So this is where this data comes from. And so you see about 33% of them drive their students to school, but still 14% are using Metrobus. And 4.7% are biking, and 3% are using Metrorail. So even though it's in a smaller chunk compared to the middle and high school students, even elementary school students are relying on Metrobus and Metrorail to get to and from school, and other sustainable modes to also get to and from school. Again, proving the purpose of Kids Ride Free and goDCgo as well. So now that we know that there is a huge part of the student population in DC that uses public transportation and other sustainable modes to get to and from school, how does goDCgo, right, the champion of sustainable transportation here in the district, support students in their efforts to get to and from school using sustainable transportation? So there are a couple ways. One, obviously right now there is, you saw earlier, right, many of you have not been on public transportation for a long time, and we wanted to make sure that people felt comfortable and safe and knew kind of what to expect. So we developed these commute with care materials, and we had them for every mode. So we have these materials available in both English and Spanish on our website. So please, we'll also be sharing them in the email post this webinar, but please feel free to go ahead and check them out. But these provide some really great guidance and tips for students and families, and also staff if you want to share that with them, on how to travel on these sustainable modes that they rely on, right? Whether it's bus or carpooling, right? Biking, whatever it may be, there are tips and suggestions available to them for how to make it as safe as possible, given all things that are happening right now within the pandemic. Another way that we support families and students and staff in planning their commutes is that we developed a list of schools that are within a half mile, which is roughly about a 10-minute walk, right? Which I think a lot of people don't think of how short a mile walk is. That's about 20 minutes. So half mile is about a 10-minute walk from the metro station. So we have a list of about over 100 schools that are near a metro station. As you can see, right, we have a nice little, you see the little color-coded dots, you see what lines, you see what school is broken down by type of school. So you can look for what DCPS schools are nearby metro stations, what charter schools are nearby transit stations, and what private institutions are near Metrorail stations as well. So this is a great resource for students and families looking to plan what school they're going to be going to, right? They want to make sure their kid can take Metrorail because that'll be easier. This is a great resource to point them to. And again, all this information is on our website. Another thing that we developed to help students and staff and anyone kind of using Metro for the first time is tips for getting around Metro, right? So for many students, if not all of them, a lot of times getting to school using public transportation and using Kids Ride Free, that's their first time on Metro. And that can be a little scary sometimes, right? You don't know necessarily what to do. Maybe the parents haven't necessarily used Metro quite frequently. They don't necessarily have the guidance and the availability to help their students and help their children maneuver Metrorail and make it easy for them. So we created this little guide for families and staff, right, whoever may need it, to just have some quick tips on how to maneuver and get around Metrorail. Again, this information is all on the website, but this is a very good one for anyone who's new to Metro. And of course, we always want to make sure we have the latest school commute information, right? Patterns are changing. As we know, we had this very huge event just happen in the last year, and things are changing. So we do regular surveys of the school communities. So staff, students, families, all that good stuff, because we want to make sure that we are prepared in helping them, right? Whatever it may be. So the first survey that we did was done in 2019. The next one is estimated to be done by September 2021. So obviously we definitely want to see the impact that this pandemic has had on school transportation. So that's something we're very eager to do. And we'll of course keep you posted, and we hope that you and your school participate in this survey as well. So right now on our website, we have the 2020 State of the School Commute that we did, and obviously in 2022 we'll also have a new one updated as well. But as you can see, a lot of this information that I shared from the previous slides on how middle and high school students get to and from school and elementary students travel to and from school as well is featured in this as well, with some staff information as well, which is all I think is also very important because they are also part of the school community. And with that, I want to hand it over to Yvonne and Joanne.
Good morning, everybody. We're going to start off like Barbara did with a poll question just to get a further in-depth feel for what our audience looks like. So Barbara's going to pop that up in just a second. There we go. So 2 questions. First, how much experience have you had with Kids Ride Free? And then secondly, how would you describe your role related to the Kids Ride Free program? We'll give you about 30 seconds to give your responses, and then we'll show the results. Curious to see, some of you may be newbies, some of you may have been working with Kids Ride Free for a couple of years because it's been out here. Give it another 10 seconds. Okay, let's wrap it up. We've got some newbies, 25%, and the majority has over 2 years experience. Okay, wonderful. And then most of you are school ID administrators. So that means you are hands-on, the people who are involved with giving the cards to students and assigning them to students. Wonderful. Next. So first, we want to tell you a little bit about ourselves. Again, my name is Yvonne Jones. I'm a program analyst with the Transit Delivery Division of DDOT. I've been with the agency for about a year, and it's kind of crazy because I started at the end of January last year, and then the pandemic came. So I've been working virtually almost my whole time with DDOT. But I've been with the district government for about 11 years, and prior to that, the majority of my tenure was with the Department of Parks and Recreation. So I'm no stranger to working with and for children, and that is truly my passion. And I'll let Joanne introduce herself.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us this morning. My name is Joanne Lowe. I've been at service 30 years at DC government. I'm a transportation specialist. I've been working with DC public school and charter school for years. So I know a lot of the ID administrators as well. We mostly deal on base-to-base about needing training or losing their ID, login. But then I've been working with in mass transit. I used to deal with the bus shelter in the 5310 program. That's a program where we get disability vehicles for disability people who need to ride the buses. And I worked for the federal government for 2 years. Thank you.
Next.
That's me. The DC Bibles established a chapter program for students who live in DC to get to school and school related for free on a Metro bus, Metrorail, and the DC circulator. This program is very special to the mayor. She think about the family for them to save money and help the students get to school so they don't have to worry about how they're gonna get to school. So this is a very important smart trip card that you can use for the students. And we appreciate the ID administrator have issuing it out to the student. So we want you to take advantage of when the kids need a smart trip card, please give them one if they request for the smart trip card. Thank you. Next. DDOT with Monitor Auto, we work together to support the KRF free program. DDOT manages the program. Ramona is the one who issue us the smart trip cards, and Auto is one who do the training with the ID administrator and the technical support. So we work as a group to help this program work very well. 30,000 smart trip cards is issued each year to the students. The ID administrator are the one who would design the card to the student. So you have to design the card to the, issue the card to the school, to the student who go to your school. So if they go to another school, you cannot issue them out a card. It must be going to your school. 15,000 cards is replaced each year. That means if a student lose a card and they come request for another card, you have to give them a card. Unfortunately, they lose it or misplace it, but we still need them to get a card so they can get back to school. The card is free. No cost, it's unlimited. They can use it Monday through Fridays, even on the weekends. Each year, the card is designed new. This year, the card is blue. School year 2021, the card is blue and will use up to September the 30th, 21. So what's important about the card, they must get the card each year before the end of the September 30th, so they can have the new card, so they can ride the buses. Because you gotta have some type of payment for them to get on the bus. So that's why, again, we always stress it's important to get the smart trip card so the kids can tap it on the bus or on the train or on the rail. Next.
Kids Ride Free frequently asked questions. With any program, there's always questions. Some pop up more often than others. We have a Kids Ride Free frequently asked questions webpage, but I'm going to go over some of those questions here today. Next. Who's eligible? Can all kids do it? Can kids from Maryland do it? Can kids from Virginia do it? There are 3 key components of eligibility for participation in the Kids Ride Free program. First, The students must be residents of the District of Columbia. Second, the students must be age 5 through 21. And thirdly, students need to be enrolled in an elementary or secondary, public, charter, private, or parochial school that is located within the District of Columbia, or they can be youth in the care of the District of Columbia. So to be eligible for participation in this program, students need to meet all three of those criteria. Next. What modes of transportation can they use? All the good ones. They can ride Metro bus, they can ride Metrorail, they can ride the DC circulator. All of those they can use for no cost to go to school and to school-related activities 7 days a week. The one caveat is that they can use those modes within the district. So their trip needs to start and end within the District of Columbia. Next. How can schools order cards for the new school year? DDOT starts distribution of cards usually around mid to late August, so that school ID administrators will have the cards in their hands prior to the start of the school year. Each school should have 2 ID administrators so that there's a backup in case one person is unavailable for a period of time. The school ID administrators are asked to sign and return a responsibilities and requirements form that outlines what the expectation is for them to support the Kids Ride Free program. It also reiterates program eligibility so that there's no misunderstanding about what students are eligible to participate. And there's a third section that outlines the support areas, who to call, where to email to get support as you administer the Kids Ride Free program. Schools are asked to submit an order form via a Google Doc. We send, after they've been trained, we send a link to the Google Doc and schools can submit their request for cards electronically. And then the DDOT School Transit Subsidy Team, me and Joanne, package the cards for delivery to the schools. And we have in-house couriers that are DDOT employees that will bring the cards to your schools. The turnaround time for that is, we like to say on paper 7 to 10 days, but in reality, we usually get it done a lot faster than that. The schools also should have, and it's last on the bullet list, but it's probably the most important, should have a secure place to store their card inventory. Over the years, we've seen a few instances where cards were misplaced or they were stolen. So it's really important to secure the cards, but make sure that both of the school ID administrators have access to that secure location. Next. When do you order cards? You don't want to run out, of course, but you don't want to order cards when you still have a whole bunch on hand, because we want to make sure that no school is sitting on a pile of, 400 cards that could possibly get lost or stolen when they're not issuing out at a rate that warrants having that many on hand. So the typical threshold that we like to look at for card replenishment is 10 or fewer for high schools, 8 or fewer for middle schools, and 6 or fewer for elementary schools. If you submit an order through Google Doc and we look at your school's inventory, because we can track that online, if we look at your school's inventory and you still have a bunch of cards on hand, we're not going to fill that request yet. We'll reach out to you and inquire, but we'll just continue to monitor your school inventory until you get closer to the replenishment level, and then we'll send out the new supply of cards. So it's really important that you don't submit a duplicate request, because that just muddles up our system. If you've submitted a request and for whatever reason have not received your cards, reach out to us via email or phone and we'll have a conversation. Next. Program support. So how do school ID administrators get program support? DDOT, of course, is here to support you, and Octo, the technology folks, can support you. School ID administrators can visit a link to request training. It's on the screen, bit.ly/KRF training. And they need to complete that training before utilizing the system and issuing any cards. We do not want you to share credentials After you've had training, the folks at Octo will give you a login specific to you to access the system for assigning cards. So really important that you get that training so that you're doing it correctly, and so that from an accountability standpoint, what you do is tied to you, and what the other administrator does is tied to them. Also, for technical issues, if you forget your password, you get locked out of the system, school ID administrators can email the DC1 technology group, and they'll be happy to help. For general program questions, or how Kids Ride Free just functions in general, those kind of questions would come to the school transit subsidy team. And we have a call center. The number is 202-673-1740. And they can answer most questions there, but if they don't have the answers, then they'll bump it up to Joanne and I to provide further details. You could also email school.transit@dc.gov, and Joanne and I both monitor that email box and can respond to your questions. Next. So next steps for information. You see the lovely blue Kids Ride Free card there. You can visit kidsridefree.dc.gov, and that webpage always has the latest information about the program. We update it periodically during the year as changes present themselves, but we also give it a refresh just prior to the start of the new school year with an image of the current card and information pertinent to the new coming school year. And also goDCgo is here to support, so you can visit their website at goDCgo.com/school to get more information on school transportation. Next.
Thank you so much, Joanne. I wanted to do one quick final poll just to kind of get a sense of the room, and then we'll go ahead, and I've seen the questions come through. Don't worry, we will get answers to them. I wanted to do just one quick last poll, and then I'll hand it over and start reading off the questions. So I'm just curious, right, as we kind of talked about school transportation, all that good stuff, I'm curious if you're just interested in receiving more information on how you can encourage your staff, students, and families to walk, bike, and take public transit more. Just go ahead, leave that for about another 15 seconds. And then please continue to submit questions if you have them. A couple of really good ones, so. Okay, still seeing some votes come in, so I'll just leave it open a little bit longer. Okay, it looks like, all right, the voting has slowed down, so I think that's my cue to end the poll. But yes, great. I love hearing that all of you are interested in promoting more sustainable transportation. So that's great. Of course, I will be sure to, all of you that participated in this presentation will get the resources from this webinar, but I will also be sending additional ones to the people who replied to this poll as well. So thank you so much. And with that, let's get to questions. Sorry, so many little screens open on my side. And so first up, I think we had from Lakia, where can the actual Kids Ride Free cards from, and can they be mailed to another address beside the school because I am currently working from home?
I'll take that one. Thank you for your question. Unfortunately, we can only send them to the designated address, which is the school. For some schools, we have coordinated a particular day for the delivery so that staff can be on site to meet the courier to accept the cards. But no, we cannot send them to another address. We have to send them to the school.
Great. Thank you for that. And then another question from Lakia, do you assist with providing smart trip cards for homeless parents? Lakia, I'll definitely message you about this. We are looking, goDCgo is looking to expand and to do some more transit equity programs. So I think there could be a possibility of doing something, but I'll definitely email you offline. So be on the lookout for an email from me so we can discuss this one a little bit more. And then I'm seeing.
Can I add on that question? Sorry. We do partner with Child Family Services Agency, CFSA, and OSSI to get cards to students experiencing homelessness and to students that are homeschooled. So again, in keeping with the mayor's directive, we want to make sure that all students who are eligible have access to this transit subsidy benefit.
That's really important. Go ahead.
And I'd
Sorry.
like to elaborate with that too. This is Joanne. If you have a homeless student and you can't process it for a smart trip card, this contact the DC One Card office, or you can contact school transit.
Okay, that's great. So it'll be is it transit subsidy at dc.gov?
Yes.
Okay. Great. Yeah, that's really good information to know. And I do know that there was also a pilot for low-income residents that was in the works a year or two ago. Not sure what the results of that were, but that is something that is being looked into. Right? How can we support parents, especially low-income parents and homeless parents? So that is something that I don't know if it currently exists right now, but hopefully will exist soon in the future. Thank you, everyone, for the support in answering that question. And then another question from Cesar. Do you have posters available? I definitely have some resources for school, so I'll follow up with you as well and kind of send those over to you so you can print them and kind of post them around the school. So I'll follow up with you on that via email. And then a message from Linda. Do you have to submit the form annually? So I think that ID school admin form, does that form have to be submitted annually?
I'll take that one. That was a form that we introduced this school year. So yes, that will be an annual requirement. We want to make sure it sort of serves as a reminder for people who have already completed it, just to reiterate the requirements. But we've had a very low response rate this year. So maybe because it was new, but we really would like to get that acknowledgement back from the school ID administrators every year.
And that would be even if they've done it in the previous year. So let's say I participated this year and I'm doing it again next year, you need a form from me both years.
Correct. And that's also an opportunity for us to document any changes that may have taken place related to program administration. You know, because we're foreseeing this going on for years and years. So things will change. And that's our opportunity to communicate in writing things that have changed and for us to receive your acknowledgement that you understand those changes and are in agreement with administering the program properly.
Great, thank you for that.
Yeah, I have something to say on that too. And plus the form is usually sent out when we mail back y'all some smart trip card when you order card. It usually is insert into your package.
Awesome, great, thank you both for that. And then I have another question from Tuktai. We have been talking about the discount for staff in the previous years, but I'm not sure we have any updates now or something that I may have missed. So I'm not sure, Tuktai, if you work for a DCPS school or a charter school or private school, but if you work for a DCPS provides a pre-tax transit subsidy. So you can take up to $270 a month pre-tax from your paycheck to put towards towards your smart trip travels on WMATA. I do have a flyer. I can definitely send you some more information on that if you're DCPS, because they have a very specific process. So that's their benefit when it comes to public transit. They also have a capital bike share subsidy. So you only pay $25 for an annual capital bike share membership. So if you're DCPS, that's definitely something I recommend looking into. And we do have information on that on the goDCgo.com/school website. So I highly recommend visiting that. If you are a charter school or private school staff member, that will depend on the school, whether or not if your school has at least 20 full-time and part-time staff, right? So both of them count. Your school is required by DC law, the DC Commuter Benefits Law, to provide at the minimum the pre-tax benefits that I just described that DCPS provides. On top of it, they can also provide a transit subsidy, a bike subsidy. They can get a little bit more creative on that. However, it does depend on a per school basis, right? So just because KIP DC does it, it doesn't necessarily mean that, right, DC Prep is going to be providing those exact same benefits. So it does depend on the employer. I'm happy to discuss more with HR or someone at your school if you're interested in really enhancing those benefits for public transit for your staff. So please, I'll make sure to reach out to you. I'm going to go ahead and save this chat so I have it. But I'll make sure to reach out to you, or feel free to reach out to me as well, and we can discuss that a little bit more in detail. And now back to Kids Ride Free. If you have cards from last year, a question from Mark, can you still use them?
I'm sorry, Barbara, you broke up a bit. Can you repeat the question?
Sure, sorry, from Mark. If you have a Kids Ride Free card from last year, can you still use them?
No. The Kids Ride Free fare product that is loaded onto the card automatically expires at the close of September 30th every year. So the cards from 1819, the cards from 1920 are expired. And the cards for this current school year, 2021, will expire at the end of September 30th of this year. We do encourage school ID administrators to collect the old cards if possible so that they can be destroyed, just to minimize any confusion. But as you saw when we showed the card image, it is emblazoned in big letters the school year that it's valid for, so there's no misunderstanding. And that's a part of why we changed the color from year to year, to make it easier for students, for ID administrators, for station managers and bus operators, for everybody to be able to recognize easily what's the current card.
Thank you for providing that answer. I have another question. How will we receive our new cards?
The supply of Smart Trip cards are delivered to schools in bundles of 25, 50, 75, 100, based on what is ordered.
Okay, we actually didn't use any cards from last year. So I guess we just keep those on file, or do we mail them back to you?
Mark, are you DCPS or charter?
Charter.
Charter, okay. And you know the cards need to be requested. So we don't just automatically send out a bunch of cards to every school. You need to submit.
Okay. Okay, well, this is our first year, so.
You're a new school?
Yes, we are.
Okay, I'll work with you offline and make sure you get some. Can you email us at school.transit@dc.gov and we'll make sure to get you straight?
Yes, thank you so much.
What's your school?
I Dream Public Charter School.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Great, thanks so much, Mark, for unmuting yourself. Great, and then kind of related to that, I think you kind of touched on it, but do you turn in the unused cards from the previous year? So let's say 20 cards were left that never got assigned, right? Do you just mail them back to Kids Ride Free, or destroy them, or what do you do?
We would like to have those cards back, and you can give them to the courier that brings your new cards. You don't have to put them in the mail or incur any expense. Just whenever, and it doesn't have to be the first delivery if you don't think of it immediately, but whenever you get a chance, give those old cards to the courier and they'll bring them back to our office.
Awesome. And then another question, are we allowed to mail the cards to students' homes as requested by the student or the parent?
No, we discourage that, highly discourage that. The student needs to request the card from the school ID administrator. And then if they're not coming to school, they don't need to use they probably don't need to use the card yet. So whenever is their first opportunity to come to the school, that would be when you give them their card. Please do not mail the cards, because there's a risk of it not going to the right address, getting lost and misappropriated, and then we have to cancel it and issue another one. And yeah, no, please don't mail.
We just want to make sure it get in the right hand, please.
Yes, and then Lakia, I think you were not in the room when we answered your question, but no, if I heard it wrong correctly, the Kids Ride Free cards cannot be mailed to another address. They must be mailed to the school. So the address on file, they cannot be sent to like a home address or anything like that, unfortunately. So they do have to be mailed to the school. And welcome, you're a first timer as well. And then two more questions from Francesca. How many cards are we allowed to give per student? We have parents who say they lost the card several times within the year. Do they pay for additional cards, or we just give them free cards each time?
You seen that commercial on TV where they say free, 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 free? There is no charge for Kids Ride Free ever at this point. So if a student loses their card today and asks for a replacement tomorrow, and then they lose it tomorrow and they ask for a replacement the next day, we are obligated to provide them with a card. Hopefully, we can put some other measures in place. If you recognize that you have some people that are constantly losing their card, then maybe they need a lanyard and a badge holder. Maybe they need one of those stick on the back of the cell phone, because they don't lose the cell phone. Stick on the back of the cell phone card holders. And DDOT does have some of those to provide to schools. So if you have a really bad situation, we can try to help with that. But let's put some things in place to help the students learn how to keep up with their important stuff.
And a continuing comment from Francesca, when we activate a new card for the student, does the old one become null and void?
Immediately. Immediately.
All right. She is further clarifying, she has elementary students, so it is the parents requesting the cards.
Requesting additional cards.
Yeah, requesting additional cards, saying they've been lost.
And that's why that safeguard is in place, that when a new card is issued, it automatically deactivates the previous card to prohibit people from having multiple cards at the same time that are valid in the system. Even though the program is free for the students and families, there is a cost associated with providing the school transit subsidy, and that cost is shared between WMATA and DDOT. So it gets expensive. We don't want anybody to try to use more of that chunk of money than they're entitled to. So one card per person.
And then one more question. Lots of questions. Thank you so much, guys, for being so engaging with this presentation. One more question from Linda. When a student says the card doesn't work, do you get the card back and re-enter the number and get the card back, then issue a new card, or do we send the old card back in?
I can take it, Vaughn. If the card don't work, what you can do is contact our office and you can ask us, can we check on it? And we would check the Metrorail card number. And then when we find out it's not working, you have to reissue the student a card. Because something could have gotten messed up during the time that the child had the card. Or they could have got flagged. If you don't sign the student card correctly, the card can get flagged and get cut off. So it is important to make sure that you register the student card correctly when you give it to them.
Okay, great. Oh, the number to call is this one on the slide. The number to call would be the school ID administrator issue, correct? The tech issue one?
You can call our number to school transit at 202-673-1740, or just email us at schooltransit@dc.gov.
Okay, great. And one more question from Lakia. Can I find the Kids Ride Free order form on your website?
It's not an actual form. It's a link to a Google Doc. So we can send that to you in an email if you don't already have it. Please reach out to school.transit@dc.gov if you need the link to order cards.
Awesome. Great. So let me try. I can't really see if anyone's typing, so I'll just wait like a minute or two more. But thank you so much, everyone, for all the great questions. I'm glad this has been a very engaging presentation, and everyone has a lot on their mind, and we got it answered. So that's great. Love to see that. I'm just gonna leave this slide up because I feel like this one has a lot of pertinent information that people might need. But of course, these slides will be shared after the presentation as well. All right. Not seeing. Yes, Francesca, this will be emailed to everyone. So you can also catch the beginning, and you'll also send the recording as well. So you'll hear everything. And just want to make sure I didn't miss a question. Going through that. All right. And with that, first, I want to keep it on this slide. And this slide is also very important. These are going to be your two main resources of information for school transportation. I need to save this chat immediately so I do not lose it, because I have a couple people I need to follow up with. So I'm going to be doing that, and so does Yvonne, so I need to get that information to her as well. So thank you, everyone. Thank you so much, Yvonne and Joanne. This was great, amazing resource. Kids Ride Free is truly a very innovative program. I think I was saying earlier, I grew up in Chicago, very good public transit system. I had to pay. I had reduced rate, but I still had to pay. So being able to ride public transit for free is truly, truly amazing. And just kudos to you and Yvonne and Joanne for running such an amazing program and for helping me with this presentation. And I'll be reaching out to all of you who had questions individually. And of course, feel free to email me. My contact information is on goDCgo.com/school. And I look forward to seeing you at our next presentation. So thank you so much. All right, everyone have a great day, and we'll be in touch. All right, bye. Oh,